This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so what is the problem we have in SDLC cycle? So we are writing lots of codes, okay? And when we write a lots of code, we have to version it. We want to find out who has written, what code has been written, why that code has been written, where is that, when, and all kind of things. So how can we do that? And that process is called versioning process, okay? So if you want to version the files to track all this meta information, what, why, where, so that process is called versioning process. So in a versioning process, you'll come to know all this meta information over the period of time, who has committed the code, who has what time, why, where, when, and why. So now these are the history of versioning tool in open source category. So initially we had SCCS, then we got RCS, then CVS, then SVN, and now we have a Git. These are the open source category. In the paid category also we had a many software which include like Perforce, TFS, ClearCase, and many more actually. So these are some of the history and dates for the evolution of versioning tool. Okay, so Git is born in 2005, April 2005, and this was created by Linus Torvald. He's the same guy who who's the father of Linux. Okay, so Linus Torvald is his name, and it was basically replacement for Bitkeeper to manage the Linux kernel source code. So now Git is become popular because of this is the conceptual concept on based on the distributed version control. This is open source, compatible with all the Unix and Linux and Windows operating system. And because it's a distributed, that means there's a local repository, so faster than other SCMs also in 100x. Now, what is the difference between distributed versus server and client model? We need to discuss that one. Now, if you look at the Git popularities, this is something which you can see that GitHub, which is one of the platform for Git repository. In 2009, we had a 50,000 repository. In 2020, we had 190 million repositories. So look at the growth and the popularity of Git. And now we all are using Git for the sake of storing the source code. So who can use Git? Anyone who want to version their source code. When I say source code, any source code which you find like PHP, Java, C++, your text file is a source code. So it can be anything. But versioning is not possible in for the binaries code like non-text based. That's images, movies, music, fonts, or processing, spreadsheets, and all. So though you can store all these files in the Git, but versioning is not possible. That means you cannot differ between two images, two movies file, two music, two fonts, and stuff like that. So versioning is possible only for the text-based file, right? So now this Git is a distributed. So now the question is, what is the difference between uh, server and client model and a distributed model? That we need to understand that. So let's understand through some drawing. So here what happens in the, I'm just talking about the server and client model. First we have a server. One large server will be set up, okay, and then we'll have one repository. So this is the repository. This is repository where the code resides. Here you have a code, and here you have meta information like who, what, when, how, and all kind of things. Now this has IP address, and anyone wants to manage this repository. There's one software which you can install to manage this repository. This repository can be, this software can be SVN, CVS, Perforce, ClearCase, or something like that. Okay, not Git. And then we have a client. This is the server now, some different machine, and we have a client here, and install client here. This is your developer desk, client here, and they talk through the network, user ID and password for the servers to pull the data and work on it and add commit. So everything, all the operations done at the server level, but here you can modify the data and do the pass the instructions for it. Are you understanding, all of you? This is server model and this is the client model. All of you?
Yeah, Raj.
Now in the Git is the distributed model. So what is the distributed model? So in a distributed model, let's say these are the developers' laptop. So Git repo is distributed. This is the one you have. So we have 4 developers in this scenario. So each one of these people have a repository. Yeah, remember in the server and client model, we had only one repository. But in a distributed model, we have a multiple repository. Each one will work on their own repository. So this is you, this is someone else, this is someone else. So you will work on your local repository. See here the developer is working on the remote repository, but uh, here everyone is working on the local repository. Okay, so anything you want to do like add, delete, commit, branch, merge, conflict resolutions, anything you will do in your local repository. Okay, so now the question is like how this, if you work on the local repository, how you share the code with each other. So that is where we do the sync between the this repository, this repository, this repository, this repository, this repository, this repository. So that is something model which you have. And here this is called local repository. This is called remote repository. Remote means any repository which is not in your machine is remote repository. But we also create one more repository. This is called central repository. So here there is no server, you see here. So this sync happen between the repo to repo. So in this case, in a Git case, everyone has their own repository and works with through their own repository. So that's the reason this model, we call it a distributed model. That means there is no one point of failure. There is no one server we have. Are you understanding, all of you?
Rajesh, I'm not clear. Like the central repository you are mentioning it, right? It is somehow
Mhm.
either it is on on-premises or it is on the cloud, right? Whenever
Huh.
I needed either first developer or fourth developer needed, he will clone. That's what the thing is, right? Or how is it?
Yeah. So there is a keyword difference here. There is a server. In the server, repository lies with the server. Here also you have a repository. Central repository also is one repository, and then push, pull, clone you do through the repository between the repositories. Got it?
Okay, then what is the remote repository we are terming here?
So conceptually, any repository which is not in your laptop is a remote repository. Conceptually, any repository which all teams are using for push and pull the data, share the data, that's called central repository. So for this guy, let's say this is me. For me, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 repository, which is remote repository. But only one repository which we are using as a team for central repository. Got it?
Okay, Rajesh.
So this is why we call it Git is a distributed. Okay. So now how do we get started? So let me help you with it. So I have created one flow. So which you want to follow this. So Git workflow. Okay. Now Git workflow. This is the one which will help you. No, this is working with remote repository. And this is with the local repository. So this first will go through this one. So first we have to local repository. Okay. So now what you have to do? First thing, install the Git. Okay. Now how do we install the Git? Typically in the Linux, apt get install or yum install git, something like that. You have a command to install it. Now in Windows, you have a exe file and you download and install it. So in my desktop, it's already installed, but if you want to install it, this is the place you download that exe. Okay, and then install it. Okay, that's all. Next, 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 finish. That's all. Now this some tutorial is also given how to install and all kind of things, different platform. So this will help you. So now Git is installed. So let me tell you in Windows, there's a git here. You install the git, then you will get git bash, git GUI, git cmd, and so on. So I'm going to use git bash because git bash is one of the utility. Using that you can run the basic Linux command being in Windows itself. Okay, so see here ls, you can run this. That's an advantage here. So git bash is the one I'm using it. By the way, you can use any command line. There's no problem in it. After installing, you will learn any command. See here, or PowerShell also you can use it here. See here. Or there is one few UI also is there. You can, by the way, integrate with Visual Studio Code also. Plugin you can install extensions, so you can work with it. So there's just various ways to work with it, but focus on the fundamentals. Okay, so this is something which you have to install it. Now what you have to do, so you have to create a repo. Repo is same which we were discussing right now. Everyone has to work on the repo, and you have to create your own repo. How do we create it? So there's a two method. One is you can create your own empty repo. I'm doing that one. Or you can clone the someone else repo also. I said clone, remember, clone. So that is something which you can do that. So I'll start with my own repo. So here I'll create one directory. It should be empty directory. Don't start firing the command in the folders where we have unwanted files, So git repo I created. This is empty directory. Now here in a context menu, I will have git bash. Here, git bash. Okay, enter. Now automatically it will take the path. Okay, so how do we create a repo? So git init is the here. Now this is the repo. Now look at this. This is the hidden file folder you have, which will show you the repo. So please remember that. This is the repo, and so on. So now we created a repo, and this is done. This process is done. Okay. After that, you have to decide which file you want to version. Okay. So for that, you have to write a file. Some files you can write here, which you want to version daily, or you can copy from the different directory, keep it here also, directories, files, and all, and that is also okay. So I'll create few dummy file for the, let's say, file1.java, and I'll just copy paste this one actually. File2.java, file3.java. So now file 1, file 2, file 3, you have 3 files here. Okay, so now you have a files, and you can copy the hell lot of files, directories and all, but it's not needed for them. So that is something which you have to do. Whichever you want to version the file, you can write it or do that. So here I will write file1.java, and here write one line, two line. Remember, 2 lines of code I have written. Save it. So far so good, all of you. Any questions?
No.
Okay. So after this, what you're going to do? You are going to add it. So add it is, this is the way to add the git code to the git. Okay. But before that, because who is the one who's adding and committing? So we need to identify. So you have to set your username. Remember that. I must remind you, you are working with your local repository. So there's no username and password. So what we have, so in Git provide username and email address. Password is not required to interact with the local repository. So this you have to set one time. Okay. So I'll just set it up in front of you. Done. Done. And you want to check this out. Here you have this command, copy paste, enter. Now you see, enter, and go to the end of it, and here it is added. Okay, so this is the one-time setup. After that, you're going to add this file. So what are the files we have? So here the screen ls file1.java. So I think just copy this here and adding this file. This is a step the file, and finally you will commit the file. Okay, so commit is the one here, and you commit one files. See, two insertion. You remember the two lines I had written in the file one. So you track each lines actually, and that this is committed. Now I want to know all the complete informations. So git logs, copy, enter. And now you see that this is the complete detail. One more command you want to know, git show. Okay, so I'll write it git show and commit ID here and now here. So when you commit, basically you get a commit ID, which is here is a unique SHA value, SHA1 value. So this will be identification. It's not a version 1, 2, 3, 4 like SVN and Git we had it. No, it's not like that. So every commit you'll create one object. This is the unique identification number, and so. So now you want to know um, all this detail, meta information, who versioning about the versioning. So now if you see that on this screen, okay. So who has committed? Rajesh Kumar. When was committed? This is the region. Why this was commit? Here. Where it is committed? Root location. What was committed? Here it is. Complete details you have. So here you can find here who, what, when, why, where, and when. All of you are understanding? Hello?
But where we can see the master location, Rajesh?
Master location, there's no as such called master location.
Mhm.
That we need to discuss what is happening. I'll tell you. There's a master branch is there, but master location concepts are not there. I'll tell you. So now you see that this is the workflow. But the question is here, if you decide, see, I create a repo, I created few files, I added who am I. But the question is why we are adding and committing it. And when I add, the file moves where? When I commit, file moves where? What is the meaning of adding and committing? That I'm not sure. So in order to understand, because log will tell you all the commits, whatever the commits you have done, that will tell you the commits history, number of logs. But what was committed? So here you will see through this. But why we are adding and committing? So this concept you need to understand very carefully. So let's get started. Look at this image, very good image. Okay. So here, let me take a snippet of it and try to understand this. So this is your repo, which is we call it workspace. And what we did inside the repo one dot git was the repository. This is the repository. Okay. So this we call it repo locations, and this we call it workspace. So this is the human. You will write a source code in a workspace, which is here. I was just writing the source code here. You see, this is source code. Here it will have. So what the question was, why we are doing adding? So basically there is a repo dot get locations. This is also divided into two part. Okay, one is called staging and one is called repo. Okay, one is called staging, one is called repo. So can you browse this? No, you cannot browse. Just like this is a different directory, just like .git, you see, you cannot find out all this thing. So this is maintained by Git. So you should not navigate. So there is one staging area, and then there is a repo area. Okay. So what happens whenever you write any file and then you do add, which I did it. So this file is there, and the copy of the file moved to staging area also. See that. Now, when you commit, remember that this file is not getting committed. This file is committing. So here the fundamental is when you add when you add, see, you write a code here and add it. So goes to staging. And when you commit, it take the file from staging to repo. Okay. So now the question is, you will ask, okay, why we have a one middle place also for the files to move to staging, and this is for the committing, and here this is the repo, real repo, and here commit 1, commit 2, commit 3, commit 4, commit 5, like this you do that. So the flow would be you modify the file, add it, commit it, modify the file, add it, commit it, and this you keep doing in the loop, and that history of the commit will be stored in the repo. Are you understanding, all of you? All of you?
Can't we directly commit to the repo from our
No,
local workspace
no,
too?
no. Repo is also locally only. It's inside .git repo. So we're not committing it. So the question is why we are doing it. Why we are adding it first. Every changes is done in the workspace. And then why we are taking the commit from the staging. Why? What is the reason? So region is temporary review. Staging is become a temporary review place. Okay. So here it will decide, because here you have a 10K file, but you don't want to add all these files. You don't want, you modify 100 files out of which, but you don't want to add commit everything. So whichever you want to commit, add it, it will go to the staging area, and here you review it, and once you feel comfortable, commit it. So commit will always happen from the staging to repo. So it's kind of review areas where you can review the code which you have modified and you want to commit. So staging is a kind of, every environment also we have a staging environment, integration environment likewise, right? So same way here, staging is like before sending to the repository for the permanent commit, you can review the changes. Okay, so these are the three areas which we have. So that's the reason we add a commit, add and commit. So now if you see that, if you go for here, when I say add these files to Git, here basically add files from workspace to Git staging area. And when we say commit a files, committing a file from a Git staging area to repo area. And now if you see that this image, it will be clear for you. Are you understanding, all of you? All of you?
Can we see the staging area? I mean, for the file location
Yeah,
where we move.
yeah. Yeah, you can see from the command, and the command is git status. Now we see here. So what are these places, this file? So this file is in work directory, workspace. Workspace means here. Okay. Now you says untracked file means Git has no tracking of this file. It's a new file. If you see that here you have a 3 files, but it's showing only 2 files. Why? Because this file has been committed. That means this file content has been versioned already in Git. So Git will not show you that file. So Git will show you only the file which has not been versioned. So right now this is not versioned. So now how can we send this file to staging area? So git add file2.java. Now I send to staging area. See here. So this file you have it still in the workspace. This file is sent to staging area. That's what it says. Hey, changes need to be committed. Here it says you need to add to staging. And if you want to unstage it, you have to run restore command. So likewise. So now this is in staging area. Now when I commit, let me send to another wall also. Let me create one more file, touch file4.java and git add file4.java added. Now you have a 2 file in staging area. Okay. So now you want to take the file from the staging to repository. So you have to commit. So git commit -m. This is the message. Second commit and done. So now it will not try to commit this file. This file will be committed. See here, I just committed and gone. So now it's showing those files is gone because you have version already. So now if you see the git log and you see second commit, this is the object called created. This you can call it commit ID or checksum ID. Understood now, all of you?
Yeah.
So this is the working with the local. So every time what you have to do, modify the file, add commit, modify the file, add commit. I modify the file, add commit, git log, you can see the things. So that is good. Now next thing, what you have to do, see why we are versioning. Why we are versioning? You are versioning because at later point of the time, you want to understand that. Later point of the time, you want to see that version who has committed or not. Am I committed? But what was committed at that time? Last month, last year, or something. So you want to see the version. So this is the only workspace you have, right? So now, how do you see the version you choose stored in the repo? Because so far what you were doing, add commit, add commit, add commit, and all the versions was stored at this place. But how do I see the history of it? So you have to use checkout. What you have to use checkout. So check out any versions and you can see that code in the workspace. Okay, so now let me show you that. So let's say I have one more commit. I'm going to make it final one. Git status, git add dot means all, git commit. This is the third commit I'm making, adding all, done. So now if you see that git log, I have three commits here, one commit, second commit, third commit. Git status, if I say empty, that means there's no code which I'm having in workspace lying, which is not version. Everything is version. Here, these are the code. But I want to take the workspace to the level which is called this one. Okay. So how do we do that? So let's copy this, git checkout. What will happen? All the files up to that commit, it will be checkout in your local space. See here. So I had only 1 and 2 and 4 and that 3 was not there. So here, this is the commit ID. Earlier you were in master branch, latest commit, master branch. Now you are up to this commit ID. So you want to go back to the latest one. So git checkout master, enter. Master is a branch. I'll talk about little later. Now you see here, this is the so this is the way you have you can both the way you can work. Add commit, add commit, add commit, and checkout, checkout, checkout. So this is the way you can work with your repositories and version your source code. Are you understanding, all of you? Hello.
Yes, Rajesh.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the some of the useful command you should try. For example, this will add all files. This will commit only selective files from the staging. This is the way to commit the directory. Same way, there's no special way, same. And when you modify, again you have to add and commit also, because every changes has to be adding and commit. And checkout, back to the checkout master. And if you want to delete some files and folder, this is the command. So you can do that. Now next topic is, okay, so I have been working with the local repo. So if you remember, this is me and I've been working with the local repo. How do we work with a remote repo? That is a question, because I want to share my code with others also, right? So for that, refer this tutorial, which will help you. Okay, so look at this here. Now this image only. Okay, here. So here you have 4 repo as per the images. Okay. So the question is how repo, I'm saying repo, please remember that repo means what repo? So repo means this repo, I have 3 locations, right? See here, this is a repo, remember, this is repo, this is workspace, this is staging, this is repo. A repo is a place where you have all the version history of the commit. Okay, so please remember that repo means that repo. Okay, so that is something which we have. So what we do in this case, so look at my screen here. So here you have 4 repos, okay, and one of yours, one of mine, let's say 2 of others peers. So how do we sync, how do we share my code with others? What is the things? So Git allows you to push and pull, okay. So if you want to send your code to someone else repo, you can push that to that repo. And if you want to get the code from the someone else, push, pull, pull. So push, pull happens. Then basically these all are in a network machines connected to the network. So there should be some protocol, right? For pushing and pulling. So which protocol allow? SSH and HTTP. Okay, that means this machine on this machine should be connected through the SSH or HTTP, the repo locations. Okay, so 2 protocol is allowed. So far so clear, all of you?
Yes, Raj.
Okay, so now there is a problem actually. Think about it. If everyone can Git allows you to push and pull against each repo, that's not a problem. Okay, that's not a problem. But what will happen if you have a more team members, let's say 10, 20, 30, 40. So pushing and pulling against each repo, each individual is not a wise idea. Okay, it's not a wise idea. This is a headache. Why should we do that? This is not a wise idea. So what should I do in this case? So in this case, what we decided, if you look at the image, we decided to have one more repo, but that is not owned by any one of us. That is hosted on the company, I mean project resources, project server. It's not a server, mind it. It's just another machine. And there also we create a repo. Mind it, there's no server soft concept in Git. It's a distributed. So now if you see that here, what we had decided, because we don't want to push and pull against each other, too much of work. So we decided we'll have a one server, which we call it a central repository, not server. We'll have a machine where we have a repo and we call it a central repository, and we do the push and pull against that one. So if you look at the second image here, I'm not pushing and pulling against one of the repositories, but central repository. Push pull, push pull, push pull. So everyone, those who want to share the code, push, want to receive the code, pull. Simple. Are you understanding the central repo concept?
Yeah, Raj.
Okay, so now we understood that for me, every repo which is not in my laptop is a remote repo, and repo which is for everyone to push and pull, entire team to push and pull, that is called central repo conceptually. Okay, so now what is the problem then? Then what was the problem? Sooner what we started getting, everyone demanding lots of other features also. What is a feature? What is the feature they started demanding? So they say, hey, the central repo, I want the wiki feature. We were not having, Git was not providing it. Then later on, there's someone said, hey, we need a issue management capability like a Jira and all. Wiki means Confluence, okay? I need at repo level. No, that feature is not available. Issue management tool? No. Better UI of central repository? No. Role-based access control? No. You want to manage multiple more remote repo? No. Security scan? No. Backup? No. And many more features enterprises started asking for it. And every time Git says, no, we don't have any feature and we don't have any plan for it. So what do we do? So see, developers loves Git because they got a complete control over the source code. But enterprises don't like a Git because there's no enterprise features available in the Git. Okay, enterprise means organization, projects, and all. Are you understanding, all of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
All of- So what we do in this case? And that is where, many organization come up and said, hey, you like a Git, I know that, but enterprise features are not available. So let's do one thing. Let me propose you all the software, whichever you need it, but we'll charge you for it. And that is where the GitHub has come. GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, Gerrit, AWS, Azure, tens of other providers are also there in the market. There's no problem in it. So now you cannot call Git server because in a Git, theoretically, there is no server concept. but GitHub server you can call it, GitLab server you can call it, Bitbucket server you can call it. So Bitbucket, GitHub, these are the service, these are the place where you get wiki, issue, UX, role-based access control, and many more features actually. Okay, so now what we are doing, we are hosting our remote repo, central repo at GitHub and using it. So can we go to the GitHub now? Anyone can get an account here free of cost, no problem. And this is the my account. Typically I have a multiple organizations here, okay, created for different work. So one of the organization I'm using is for temp. Do you see temp? Demo temporary. So this repo, this organization I'm using only for demo, and I create repos and show you this all this stuff. Okay, so same thing I did in it last time in the my uh, desktop. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create repo online UI. This is the same way in it, and repo what you want to do. So it's no December, right? December 2023. You should give it a meaningful name, by the way. And then description public repo means anyone can see the code, but only the one whom you give access to modify, they can modify. Private means modification and access depends on the whom you give access, and no need to add any of this file and create repository. So now I did created one repository on the GitHub. It's empty repository, remember. Last time I created in my desktop, this time I created on GitHub, same way. And the two protocol is either HTTPS and SSH. SSH you need your key to uploading to GitHub. I repeat, SSH, for that your public key need to be uploading to GitHub, and for HTTPS you need a PAT, access PAT. Okay, now how do we get all this thing? So here git upload, GitHub upload, right? GitHub upload. So this tutorial will help you. It's session evening recording. See here, how to generate and upload your public key to GitHub for SSH. Okay, now GitHub PAT, right? PAT. How to generate a PAT? This tutorial will help you. Okay, anyways, I'll do that in session. So this is tough. This is the URL for HTTPS. I'm going for HTTPS, and reason is I don't want to upload my key to GitHub because it will not allow. Why? Because same key, if you upload to multiple account, it will not allow. So I have, this is my laptop, working laptop. So I upload it to some other account, so it will not allow the same key, and I don't want to change the key also. But for you, you can do that. So that is possible. So here HTTPS I'm going for it because I need a pad for it. How do we get it? So I am going to generate a pad, and here developer settings. You'll be having a recording, don't worry about that. This is the old one, right? So let me do one thing. Let me renew this one itself. And the security things got introduced recently, and regenerate a token. I'm regenerating a token. You can create a new one also. So this is the token is generated. Done. Now what do we do in this case? So I am going to push that. So copy this URL. Here you see 3 commits I made it. Remember that. Git push where you want to push, this one, and which branch you want to push, master. Enter. Authentication field you have to rerun because last authentication got stored, which was used. New authentication has to be popped up. It will prompt you. See here, there's a prompt. Now you can provide the browser login also. That is possible. Browser login is user and password, but I have a token. I want you to use the token. So token is somewhere here. Sign in. So this token will be applied. And you see that it pushed. Now you come here back to the repo and refresh. Now same thing which you did last time through command line, you have at GitHub. And now you browse this. Here you have lots of features which you wanted. The feature like feature like feature like wiki, issue tracking, GitHub, role-based access control on blah, blah, blah. So look at this here. You can browse the code file1.java. See here, you can edit this raw. Click here, each and everything you click and then see the copy, who has committed, how many files you have it. Here commit, you want to have a commit data, so you can go for this 3 commits, you see, complete details. And each of this commit you have a detailing. Here you can write issues. Let me create issues here. DevOps school.com login page is not working. This is the issues you're going to assign to some of your team member. I've assigned to this one and submit. Now you're going to create a documentation, so wiki here, and create a page, welcome page, home page, and this is the markdown editor. Many other formats are there. ASCII is there. These are markdown is there. MediaWiki is there. Pod, RDoc, textile. So markdown is good. You can try. Add whatever you want here. This is up to you, and create a documentation and save page. You can create multiple pages over there and so on. So here you have a access, give it to access to someone. So collaborate in teams. Here you can give access to people or team. Okay. So teams are at the org level. So you can add someone access through email address or username and so what kind of access. So let me add access. One email ID which I'm adding is SCM Galaxy. See, SCM Galaxy. Yeah. And you can access, give our admin access, write access, read access, all this thing you have it. Lots of features you have actually. And here go to this place, org label, and here you can create a team. So I've created a multiple teams here. Let me create one more team. DevOps dev December, right, 2023, visual or secret, created a team, and you're going to add some members to it. So you're going to add member. Let's say I'm adding SCM Galaxy another account and invite it. So he'll be part of this team in one in pending. Sooner he will get invitation and accept it. So this team is named with this one, right? So you can add access now to repository. So here, come to this plus setting. Here, collaborate and team. Add team access. See what access you want to it. Write access and do that. So many features you have here. Using that you can work and UI and also on. You can modify the files also, but typically that access you won't be having in real time because this may create a problem for modification on the UI. You have to modify just like I did it and then work on it. Are you understanding, all of you? All of you?
Yes, Ram. Yeah, I have one
Okay, so
question.
how do we?
So you added the files, right, from your local to here GitHub. So is it
Hmm.
automatically committed or do we need to come
No, no,
here
no.
and commit?
Push. You have to push. Remember, push pull, push pull.
Okay.
Okay. So now, guys, this is the remote repository, but I have to work. Someone else has to work, right? So let me become someone else. So here X Y Z. So this guy, he's the some. Let's say someone else is working. How he will or she will work? So you'll clone it. Okay. HTTPS SSH CLI. Many ways are there. Uploading key is not done, so you'll clone it. Remember, clone means you're getting the entire repository. So I'm using command line for this. Git clone. Clone means clone, simple. Clone means entire history, you get it. And see here, start dot, see here, December. So now you want to modify some files you want to modify. So let me add some files, some dd.txt. So what you'll have to do? So go to the directory, git add dot, same thing what I did last time. Git commit, adding xxx, something like that, and git push. Now here what is happening, you give the URL for it. But you know what, when you use the origin, when you use the clone command, automatically there is one aliases get created. So you don't have to hard code the each long URL, and the alias name is origin. That means origin is equal to the URL which I cloned it. So that automatically get created. It's called aliases. And which branch? Master branch. Access is already given, same machines. I'm just behaving 2%. So now we pushed it. So other person what he did? Cloned it, add the file, commit it, and pushed it. Now here you have that extra files. See here. So now I will act like myself. Do I have that extra file? What? No. What to do? So you have to pull it. Simple. Git pull and now whole URL. So whole URL I might not remember. So how do we create it? So let me create it. Git remote add origin. This is the different guy, different repository. Okay. And this is the whole repository. So this is the way you can create aliases, multiple aliases. Here I'm creating remote add origin and dump. So now I can also use that aliases, pull origin and master. See here, that guy pushed it, I pulled it, and now I got this file also. See, dd.txt. So this is how we work with each one of us. Are you understanding, all of you?
Yes, Raj. Yeah.
So what is Git? You understood why we need it. You understood how to work with the local repository. You understood how to work with the remote repository. You understood. So now we have a few extra topic, which is includes branching, merging, redoing, undoing, and all kind of things, resetting and all, and few more concepts which we need to understand. So any question before that, all of you?
No.
Okay, so let's have one break for 15 minutes. Once you come back from break, I'll talk about some advanced topics also. See you guys.